Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining the College Talk series. In this series, we will have current and former students present on their college experiences every Saturday at 7 p.m. This is the sixth session, and this week, we have Revathi, Pillai, and Aseh Nshom presenting about UPitt. Revu has graduated from UPitt with a major in Neuroscience and Anthropology and a minor in Chemistry. Aseh works at UPitt as an Enrollment Services Manager. Thank you for taking your time to present about UPitt.
This presentation is being brought to you by Robotics for Youth, a nonprofit organization led by youth for youth with the aim of promoting STEM education. Along with these college talks, we also do STEM workshops, certification classes, hold virtual competitions, and much more. If you're interested in any of our other classes, visit our website, roboticsforyouth.org.
All microphones will be muted during this session. If you have any questions at any time, please use the chat function at the bottom of the screen. Ritika and I will ask the questions to the presenter and they can answer. Now we'll hand it over to Revu and Aseh to talk about their college experiences with the University of Pittsburgh.
Who's going to be presenting the slideshow?
I'll go ahead and present the slideshow. This is Revathi.
Okay. Okay, you can share it now.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right, I guess I can start first, being I am the first slide. Is that all right with everyone? Perfect. All right, well, greetings from the University of Pittsburgh. My name is Aseh Nshom. I'm an Enrollment Services Manager for the university. And first and foremost, thank you guys for having me in tonight's program. I'm so thrilled that you guys are interested in learning more about Pitt. As an alum, I witnessed firsthand that Pitt education is a special type of education and a special type of undergraduate experience. Now, I want to make sure I leave enough time for questions, for the panel to share their campus experiences. But I also thought it'd be a little helpful to kind of share a little bit about Pitt admissions and the application process. But before I dive into that, I figure I share a little bit about the university as a whole. The University of Pittsburgh is a highly regarded research university located in Western Pennsylvania. I always like to just make a note that we are a research institution. I do that because being that we are a research institution, it highly influences the way the curriculum is formed and the undergraduate experience is received by our students. So in a sense, Pitt really prides itself on research. When it comes to innovation discovery, Pitt is always at the forefront. We really try to make that our mission and who we are as a university. So in addition to the traditional styles of learning when it comes to classroom environments, when it comes to professors and lecturers and lesson plans, Pitt students also have tremendous access to laboratories and facilities on campus. Students are able to conduct hands-on research projects with professors and experts within several different academic departments. And it's important to note that these research projects doesn't just apply to the sciences or science majors, it applies to the university as a whole. So within our curriculum, we offer more than 100 different majors, minors, and certificates. I would say overall, students are very much encouraged to explore new interests and passions while at the same time growing as a collegiate. I would say it's very common for our students to pursue multiple degrees in different academic settings and departments. So before I dive into the Pitt admissions, the first thing I would like to make note of is that our new window will be available for students. Students can start applying to Pitt on August 1st. So for all you rising seniors, August 1st is the date where you can officially start applying to the university. There are 3 ways to apply to Pitt. We have our own application that's available on our website at ofa.pitt.edu. We are a member of the Coalition application. And last but not least, you can apply to Pitt with the Common App. Now, as you guys kind of begin your college searches, and in the event that Pitt is one of your top choices, I would very much encourage you to apply to Pitt using the application that is available on our website. The reason why I say that is because you will see that there are additional documents that are associated with your file during the application process. The first example of that will be the SAR Transcript. The SAR Transcript, which stands for the Self-Reported Academic Record, is essentially, this is a document that is the official listing of all the courses and the corresponding grades that have been completed or in progress for high school or college credits. During the application process, the SAR transcript can take the place of the official high school transcript. From the admissions standpoint, we tend to encourage students to complete the SAR versus the transcript because it does a few things for the students. A, it helps expedite the review process. As you can imagine, instead of a student contacting their counselor and requesting for an official transcript to be sent to that school, the student is now able to empower themselves. They can take the initiative and self-report their grades. So instead of that week to 2-week process of trying to request a transcript, that student can self-report their grades, and as a result, they will receive a quicker admissions decision. But I think it's important to note when you're completing these additional forms, certain applications may use a different SAR format. So for example, if you apply to Pitt with the Common App, you will have to download our separate SAR transcript that's available on our website. So it's just kind of good to be in the know-how of the different applications that are available to you. Overall, I think we really try to help students in the sense that we want to make sure that they're empowered, they're taking the initiative, they can be proactive when it comes to the application process. Here at Pitt, we implement a rolling admissions policy. So this means that we do not practice early decision, but instead we inform students of their admission status at a first come, first served basis. Once we receive all your application material, i.e. like your SAR transcript, your test scores, the application, the short answer essays, things of that nature. But however, we do have deadlines in place. We do that so that students have enough time to be properly be reviewed by our admissions and scholarship committee. In the event that you're interested in trying to attain a merit-based scholarship, or if you're interested in applying to one of our guaranteed admissions program, it is in your best interest to apply to the university earlier in the admissions cycle. As a student, when you apply to the University of Pittsburgh, there will be 5 entry-level schools in which you can apply to. Those being the Dietrich School of Arts and Sciences, the College of Business Administration, our School of Nursing, our Swanson School of Engineering, and our School of Computing Information. Now, each school has its own respective class profile. For example, our Dietrich School of Arts and Sciences is our oldest and largest school and offers the most diverse major selection. Generally speaking, in August when the application window is first available, we are expecting around anywhere from 2,800 to 3,000 students to be committed students into our Arts and Sciences school. But by the time we hit that January, December 1st date, more than half those seats are already taken, are being awarded to students. And in addition, some of these students are beginning to receive some of their merit-based scholarships and their financial aid packages earlier in the winter. So it's really in your best interest to apply early as possible. In retrospect, our School of Nursing, which is much smaller in size compared to our Arts and Sciences school, just last year we admitted a little less than 200 students. So as you can imagine, the class profile is a little bit more competitive when it comes to grades and test scores. But our nursing school is one of our highly regarded schools on campus. We have 6 teaching hospitals on campus. So our nurses and a lot of our medical students have tremendous access to clinical healthcare experiences. Our nurses grads receive over 1,200 hours of clinical experience. So it's just something to always kind of just take note of. But during this time of the year, being that our commitment date was just passed recently on May 1st, during this time of year, I have a lot of conversations with rising juniors and seniors, most of which are contacting me to kind of express their strong interest in the university and how could they essentially increase their chances of candidacy and improve their chances to be admitted. Now, there are kind of several ways to kind of go about that. I personally believe that it's always great to start by having that conversation with your territory manager. As a territory manager, is my main objective to be a resource. As you can imagine, here at Pitt, we have a lot of different academic tracks available and resources. And as a whole, our staff really want to ensure that students are provided the tools and resources to grow as collegians, but also be prepared to join the workforce when that day comes. And so with that being said, if you're having these conversations with your territory manager, they can obviously direct you to the proper services and make sure you're kind of falling down the right channel or track. The Pitt community can't wait to welcome students back to campus once it's safe to do so. But in the meantime, there are some great virtual opportunities to connect with the university. If you are interested, you can subscribe to our YouTube admissions, Pitt Admissions YouTube channel. Our engagement team has worked very hard over the several past months to create virtual panels and programs for students to connect with the university. Everything from school informationals, financial presentations, campus life, student life. So if you are interested, please, it's in your best interest to connect. As an admissions committee standpoint, the more I see that a student is engaged and interactive with the university, the better the chances they have with admissions. Secondly, I tend to encourage students to do their research when it comes to the academic school they may be applying into. For example, if you're a student who's interested in attending our business school and you notice that your math test scores may be a little lower than the class profile, it may be in your best interest to reconsider retaking your SAT scores. Here at Pitt, we accept both the SAT and the ACT, and we accept the best combined score. So this past admission cycle, it was very common for me to receive contacts from students mentioning that they have retaken their SAT and they just wanted me to check to ensure that they have the most accurate records. So it's just always good to just have that line of communication, reach out to your territory manager, attend these virtual sessions, and kind of just put your best foot forward, so to speak. Last but not least, I think the biggest tip I can provide to students when it comes to the admission cycle has to deal with the short answer essay. Here at Pitt, we review applications on a holistic basis. We do this so that we have a better understanding of who you are as a student, but more importantly, as an individual. Your grades and test scores will obviously reflect your academic performance and rigor, but it will be your essays that will really give us a better sense of who you are and your background. Here at Pitt, we really value thinkers, doers, and builders. So please take the time to showcase your skills, your past experiences, and your interests. We are very much interested in knowing what makes you unique. And as your personal territory manager, I would love for us to connect in the future. Please know I am available if you have any questions. If you like any more information, please visit our admissions website at ofa.pitt.edu.
Okay, so before you move on, we have a few questions in the chat. The first one is, what are the requirements for the merit scholarship selection?
So there's, when it comes to scholarship, the scholarship committee will start reviewing candidates as early as, well, usually the packages are released some point in December, January. There isn't a set requirement. We review students on their academic standing, extracurricular activities, leadership qualities. So there isn't a set profile when it comes to scholarships. Like I said, everything from test scores, grades, extracurricular activities will all have weight and consideration when it comes to the financial aid and scholarship packages. Our packages range everywhere from $2,000 to full room and board. So there's ample opportunity to secure merit-based scholarships. If that is a pivotal focus of yours, it's always in your best interest to apply early as possible. As I mentioned, around December, January, that's when we first are releasing financial aid packages. So it's always best to be ahead of the crowd than behind it, so to speak.
Okay, so our next question is, what's the acceptance SAT score to get into Pitt?
Similar to the merit-based question, there isn't a set profile or set test score that will get you into the respective school. At Pitt, we have 5 entry-level schools, as I just mentioned. All of our entry-level schools have different class profiles. So, for instance, for our Dietrich School of Arts and Sciences, the medium test score for the SAT, I believe, is around 1250. So, I will say 50% of students are getting above that, and then another 50% of students are a little below that. So, is there's really not a set standard or score. This GPA won't get you into this program, or this test score will automatically get you into this program. As I mentioned, we really review candidates on a holistic basis. So we can really build a campus that's built on diversity, engagement, uplifting. So there's a lot of qualities that we look for our students, and the tests and grade scores definitely play a way into it, but it's not the final straw.
Okay, so we have 2 or 3 more questions. What is Pitt most known for?
Right, well, I think at its core, I would say we are known for research and diversity. Like I said, when it comes to innovation discovery, Pitt really tries to be adaptive and really keep a pulse on what's kind of happening on an international and a state level and on a local community level. So like I said, we really want students to take advantage of all the resources that we have on campus. Students can start conducting research as early as their second semester of their freshman year. And it's important to note that when it comes to research, it doesn't just have to be in the classroom. Students are able to kind of travel across the world in different academic settings, different business settings to conduct their research. And then on top of that is diversity. Like I said, our student body is fairly large. Our freshman class is a little over 4,000 students, and our undergraduate student body is a little over 18,000. So as you imagine, we do have a lot of students, but what's great about that, it gives us a lot of opportunity to collaborate with one another. Our Office of Student Affairs has over 650 clubs and organizations. So students really have ample opportunity to collaborate with each other and other professionals within certain fields.
Okay, the next question is, how would out-of-state students go about getting a scholarship?
Sure. So when it comes to out-of-state, because as a Penn alum, I actually was out-of-state student, so I kind of know the process fairly well. But like I said, the more active and the more communication lines you have at the university is the better. So attending virtual sessions, filling out the short answer essays. The scholarship committee really wants to have a better understanding of who you are, your background. So if you're filling out those short answer essays, we have a better understanding of who you are as an individual and what you can bring to campus. Because we really want to attract the best student body, the best students to campus. We want to have students here that are going to be engaging, uplifting, making it attractive. We want people who are going to make an attractive campus for students to really, improve themselves as a collegiate. So the more information you can provide to us, the better.
Okay, our next question asks if you could go more into detail on the 7-year medical program. And if you did get accepted into the biology program, would you get a chance to work in UPMC?
Right, so yeah, UPMC, we have a great relationship with UPMCs. University of Pittsburgh and University of Pittsburgh Medical Center are the 2 biggest employers in the city. As I mentioned, we have 6 teaching hospitals on campus. So if you're interested in the pre-health field, we have several undergraduate mentors and collegiate advisors who are there to essentially make sure you kind of find your track and your place within these fields. When it comes to our med school guarantee, we do have guarantee admission programs. So if that's something that you are interested in, there are deadlines in place. I believe the guarantee admissions program for this year is December 1st, but I will double check just to make sure of that. But yeah, essentially, if you're applying to our medical school, you will receive your undergraduate degree. It's very common for students to pursue biological sciences if they're on the track for pre-med, but there isn't essentially a pre-med undergraduate major that will automatically qualify you for med school. You will have to go through that requirement protocol as well.
Our last question is, how possible is it to get a job right after getting out of college? And what would you say would be the regular starting salary? The average, sorry.
Yeah, not a problem. So when it comes to starting salary, I mean, it all depends on the industry. I will say overall, the great thing about Pitt's campus is that we're very close to downtown Pittsburgh. We're literally about 3 miles, which is about a 10-minute drive. The great feature about being a Pitt student is that you actually get a Pitt ID, and with your Pitt ID, you can travel back and forth from the different neighborhoods of Pittsburgh. We have about 90 different neighborhoods in the area. So when it comes to commute, students can use their ID to get back and forth to downtown Pittsburgh. When it comes to job retention, 94% of our graduates either receive employment or admissions to a graduate school within 6 months of graduating. So we have different services and counsel in place for students that can kind of help you when it comes to workshops, when it comes to mock interviews, resume building, things that can kind of prepare you to join that workforce. Overall, I think it's very common for students to secure internships throughout their undergraduate studies. I know we're talking about, this is the robotics club, so I think it's important to know within our Swanson School of Engineering, our students are provided a co-op opportunity. So usually beginning with their sophomore year, students are provided paid co-op positions within different engineering firms. And these positions are semester long, year long, and they also receive academic credits. So you kind of receive the best of both worlds. You get work experience and academic credits in a Pittsburgh environment, like as I just mentioned, is a very industry leader when it comes to healthcare, education, manufacturing, and technology. So it's really neat. It's a unique experience in the sense that we really try to prepare you for the classroom, but at the same sense, you have so many resources and big companies in your own backyard.
Where could we find all the digital information on all of the topics you've talked about?
So a best way will actually be filling out a info card. So I will send this information in our chat discussion. Essentially, if you fill out one of our information cards, we can provide all this information to you directly via email. So you can kind of do your own research, but your best bet will definitely be starting at our website at ofa.pitt.edu. I will also drop this in the chat room. But yeah, like I said, it's a great place to start for you to kind of conduct your own research and kind of just see everything that's at your disposal when it comes to resources and majors at the University of Pittsburgh.
Thank you so much. I think that's all the questions for now. You guys can keep going.
So hi everyone. Thank you so much, Aseh, for all of that. I hope that gave you guys more of the perspective from just applications. I kind of want to talk about my personal experience with Pitt and why I chose to go there and my journey to that. So let's see if I can get this. Did that switch slides? Okay, cool. So my background, I just graduated. So I graduated with 2 degrees in neuroscience and anthropology. I was pre-med. I'm taking a gap year. I'm about to start a job as a medical assistant at a dermatology clinic in DC while applying to medical school. I actually just submitted today. I was a Pathfinder, so that's like a student ambassador at Pitt. We gave tours and worked like the admissions programs and stuff like that. I also founded an organization called the Imagination Project. Basically what we do is we get student volunteers to dress up as various children's characters and visit local pediatric facilities. I also was in the Disney Club and I did research on campus, but I can talk about that later if you guys are interested at all. One of the main reasons I chose Pitt was for its neuroscience department. It's got a pretty large undergraduate neuroscience department, which sets it apart from other universities. So a part of that is that I got to do a thesis project. So my thesis project was on spatial distribution of VIP cells and their activity in mouse olfaction systems, which is really cool. If you guys are interested about that, just I could send some information out. But I don't know how to work this. Okay, cool. So in terms of getting into college, for me, I would say that I definitely knew like GPA and your standardized test scores are really important, but that something I was surprised by is how important your extracurriculars and your college essays can be. So that's definitely something to focus on. And in terms of deciding between colleges, I really put importance on location. That's kind of one of the biggest things that I tell people on tours is make sure you know that the college you're picking is somewhere you want to spend 4 years and somewhere you think you would have a good time learning and something that could be like a good environment for you. Freshman year at Pitt. So I spent up until college, all 17 years of my life in Northern Virginia. So moving to Pittsburgh was a pretty big adjustment for me. I would say orientation week was really crucial in terms of me getting comfortable with Pittsburgh. It was a week where we had several activities and different things like that geared to getting freshmen on campus and getting to meet each other and stuff like that. I also chose to live in a living learning community. So those are groups that they assign for housing. So I chose to live in the Honors LLC, which meant that I was in a building full of students who were also in the Honors LLC. So people who were interested in taking honors courses and pursuing an honors distinction on their diploma, stuff like that. But they have several others, including like music, art, there's a healthy U one, a business one, stuff like that too. In terms of campus life, I would say life on Pitt's campus is pretty similar to most universities. You do feel like you're on a campus, but you're also so close to a city, so you kind of get both aspects. I was looking for a more urban campus when I was applying to colleges, and that's one of the reasons I chose Pitt, and I definitely got that. There are great recreational centers. We have the Peterson Event Center with a huge on-campus gym with all the weight machines you could possibly imagine, some I'd never seen before. We also have lots of like martial arts facilities and stuff like that, pretty much anything. And in terms of like roommates being important and residence hall life, I would say having a roommate was really important for me personally in terms of kind of making new friends and finding new people and like just personal growth in general. I would say they're pretty important if you're the kind of person who wants to make friends in that way. But I do also know people who chose to live alone all 4 years, and they still had a pretty easy time getting to know people. But one of the biggest changes I would say with like moving to a college environment is all of a sudden just, you know, that switching your location and trying to do things on your own and get accustomed to all that.
I think we got a question in the chat about extracurriculars. Are there any specific extracurriculars that you need to get into Pitt?
To get into Pitt, I don't have the answer to that question. I think if you just show that you're active outside the classroom, that goes a long way. And it's really just about how you describe like how those extracurriculars impacted you and like drive you, kind of.
Do sports count?
Sports? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if I could kind of just piggyback off that, if you don't mind. So yeah, sorry. When it comes to extracurricular activities, what we would love to see is that we would love to see upward trend or leadership qualities or leadership participation. So if you're a part of a robotics club and you had to collaborate or work with a team of, let's say, 10 students, how was the group dynamic? Were you a treasurer of the group? Did you have to take notes? How did you kind of, what was your role in the overall success of your team? So if you can kind of provide that insight, that will be very helpful when it comes to the admissions process and reviewing your application.
Do we have another
I think that was it. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Cool, yeah. So in terms of academics at Pitt, one fact I usually tell on my tours is how only 6% of our classes are over 100 students, and all of those classes that are over 100 students require recitations, which is like smaller breakdowns of those classes, led by like a TA, where you can kind of ask your questions and get them answered without having to interrupt like a 300-person class or something like that. But in general, with most of the majors, as you go further in your field of study, the classes get a lot smaller. For my anthropology courses, my intro courses were about, I'd say like 100 students. And then by the time I was at my upper level courses, I was in a classroom with only 12 other people. My neuroscience classes, the electives kind of varied a little more, but my smallest class was around 15 people. So it really just depends on which major you are in and which electives you take. And then in terms of like co-ops, I know a lot of engineers that do co-ops, so they have a job going on at the same time as school. Study abroad is something I think is super important. I studied abroad last summer. I did a comparative healthcare program in Austria. I know it's cliched to say it changed my life, but it really did. I got such a new perspective on healthcare by seeing it firsthand in a different country, and just putting myself in a completely new environment. I think I learned so much, and I do highly suggest anyone who's slightly considering to study abroad. Pitt does have a good portion of students who study abroad compared to the national average. I think we're a little bit higher. And what's awesome about that is that we have Panther programs that are from Pitt, and then we also have like Pitt approved programs. So if you found a program that Pitt doesn't offer, you can get it approved and get that Pitt credit. So they are great with studying abroad. If that's something you're interested in, it's super easy to do and to fit in to your majors. Even though I double majored, I was still able to study abroad. I did do it over the summer. But I knew a neuroscience major who took a semester to study abroad in Australia. Online coursework. So since I just graduated, most of my last semester was research. So I didn't actually have to do an online class, which is really nice. I can't speak much to the Zoom classes and how that worked, but I think it worked as most other universities did. And undergraduate research. So I again, did a thesis project for my neuroscience major. What kind of sparked that was my honors intro to neuro class. My professor was talking about her research in olfaction. I just thought it was something that was really niche. It was something I hadn't heard about before. It was something that was really confusing to me, but I was interested. So I asked her if she had space in her lab. All I did was go up to her at the end of class one day and be like, do you have availability in your lab? Is this something I could join? And that summer, it was a spring semester. So in about a month, I was in her lab and I was working, and I did the summer undergraduate research internship program with her. It was super easy to get involved, and it turned into a thesis project, which is awesome. I spent many hours in that lab, which culminated in this whole paper that got me my thesis project. So it's very easy to get involved in research at Pitt, I would say. In terms of dealing with professors, also very easy. They are required to hold office hours, so you can just go to those. A lot of times, if you're super busy and you can't go to their office hours, they like schedule separate office hours with you. That's what I had to do with a lot of my professors, just because my classes would overlap. And it was very easy to do that as well. And I'll like check in all that kind of stuff can be very useful, I think, in these like physics classes and stuff like that, to supplement the learning that you get in the classroom. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, we got a couple of questions in the chat. One question about co-op programs. Are there students in co-op programs? Are the students in co-op programs able to graduate in 4 years?
I don't know if I can speak to that. I think they can. I don't know if they have trouble with that. I know some people that do co-ops will take an extra semester or an extra year, but I do think it's possible in 4 years.
Yes.
Another question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, just speaking back, it is very possible to attain that in 4 years. It's just best to have that conversation with your academic advisor when you're doing onboarding. Just to keep them in the know-how of your interests. Potentially, if you're interested in studying abroad, it's always great to have that conversation early on too, so they can kind of just map out your potential track and just keep you aware of all the things that are going to be on your timeline as an undergraduate.
What AP courses do you have to take to try to get into the neuroscience course in Pitt?
So none of them are required, but I will say that it helps if you have taken AP Bio and AP Chem, because those are the foundation for most of the upper level bio classes and neuro classes at Pitt. Personally, I took both AP Bio and AP Chem, but I retook like Bio 1 and Chem 1 at Pitt because of pre-med requirements. I knew I had that many semesters of classes that I had to get in. But if you do take AP Bio and AP Chem and test out of those, you can go into Pitt neuro program, say, like having already done those. You can just take the next elective, if that makes sense.
I think that's all the questions that we got.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
So moving on to extracurricular activities, Pitt has over 600 student organizations on campus. There's so many ways to get involved if that's something you want to do. Personally, I listed that I'm involved with Pathfinders. I do the Imagination Project. I started that research and the Disney Club. But throughout my 4 years, I also did a couple other things. I joined a dance team my freshman year, which was a really cool experience. I also did Pittsburgh Attacks Cancer Together, which was a cool service organization, and different things like that. So if research is something you're interested in, like I said, that's super easy to get involved in. Club sports and intramural athletics, I don't know much about them because I didn't personally get involved in them, but I do know it's pretty easy to get together like an intramural team and just play with your friends. It's also a great way to meet new people. It's not on here, but Greek life, Pitt's not a go Greek or go home kind of school, but it is something that's out there if you're interested in getting involved. I believe we're about 10% Greek.
Yep. Sorry. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
I was just saying, yes, you're correct. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. But if you guys have any questions about extracurriculars, I can take those later. But in terms of social life, I think one of the biggest things I realized was how different social life is in college versus high school. You kind of get used to a whole new way of living. I found it very easy to just meet people. Obviously, you're living in a residence hall, you're living with someone maybe, or just a bunch of people on your floor, and it's an awesome way to kind of diversify your like branch. Organizations are a great way to meet new people with similar interests and activities. In terms of free time, I personally wouldn't say I had too much of it. Freshman year, I kind of tried to get involved with as much as I could, to the detriment of my free time, but I still had weekends where I could hang out with my friends. I would say the biggest mistake most freshmen make is probably trying to take on too much. With college, you feel like you have all of this time. You only have maybe like 3 classes a day, and they're kind of spread out, so you think you can handle a lot more, but you have to realize that like with every credit hour of class you're taking, you have like a couple hours to study for that, and that's just important to keep in mind. And for me, one of the coolest things about going to Pitt was being able to explore a new city. Like I said, I lived in Northern Virginia my entire life, so it was really awesome to be in a different city and kind of go see new places to eat, different like museums and stuff, all which like you have access to with your Pitt ID. And that was also a great way to kind of develop friendships with people by like through freshman year being like, oh, hey, do you want to go to like this museum? And then you kind of get to spend time with someone new. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The biggest thing again with that I want to kind of leave you guys with is how important it is to make sure that like the college that you're picking is one that you think you're going to thrive in. Obviously you're looking at like the programs and things that interest you, but make sure that you feel like it's a good choice. When I visited Pitt right before deciding to go, I felt like something clicked. I was just like, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to spend the next 4 years. And it's really important because that kind of puts you in the right mindset to take as much as you can from the university. Again, personally, Pitt was the greatest option to me due to its neuroscience program. I knew I wanted to go into medicine. So the fact that UPMC is such a large presence on Pitt's campus and how easy it would be to get involved with them. I actually did clinical research with UPMC for 3 years at Pitt, and it was pretty easy to apply to that and get involved, and that really helped shape my pre-med experience as Pitt as well. But yeah, again, I didn't have to do any Zoom classes, so with online learning methods, for me, it was mostly trying to transfer all of my lab data to my like personal computer and like work on my thesis from home. But because I had already done all my data collection, it was just analysis. It was a little easier. I can't really speak to the online classes, but yeah, do you guys have any more questions?
We have one question from, we have one more question. It's, when in the process of applications, do you apply for a double major, or does that come along later?
So for me personally, when I decided to double major, it was like the spring of my freshman year. I came in knowing I wanted to do neuroscience, and at the time, anthropology wasn't even on like in the back of my mind, but I took an anthro class called The Archaeologist Looks at Death, and it was such an incredible class. It was very eye-opening, and I really liked what I was learning in that class, so I decided to pursue an anthro major. I started by just talking to the anthropology advisors. I told them that I was majoring in neuroscience and like this is the academic plan I had laid out, and kind of asked them like how anthropology would fit into that, and just worked with them until I felt like I could apply for that major as well. When you apply for your majors, it's probably around your like sophomore years when you just like submit the paper and you say that you've taken these classes and you're planning on going on that path. So I had submitted mine for neuroscience earlier than I did for anthropology, but I knew kind of early on that I wanted to do the two, which made it easier for me to weave the two together and still have like a senior spring semester where I wasn't doing too much, if that makes sense.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. We're just going to wrap up real quick. Thank you so much, Revu and Aseh, for sharing your information on UPitt.
Next week, we will have Srijit Podival presenting about MIT. We also have our previous college talks on our YouTube channel, Robotics for Youth. If you want to know more about our organization and our meeting schedules, you can visit us at roboticsforyouth.org. Thank you all for joining.